What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so the Milwaukee Bucks do what they have been doing ever since. Really, this has been a consistent problem, but it's gotten worse in the Doc Rivers era, and that is either playing down to level of competition too often or not coming out prepared with the intensity needed to play competitive NBA basketball. And the Los Angeles Lakers beat the hell out of the Milwaukee Bucks at Milwaukee yesterday, 119-95. The Lakers improved to, I believe, 10-4 on the year, all without LeBron James, mind you, while the Bucks fall to 8-6 on the year. There's some people calling for Giannis, to be criticized more heavily. Giannis had 33 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He did commit 5 turnovers. But Giannis is pretty much the only guy that showed up last night for the Milwaukee Bucks. Kyle Kuzma reverted back to taking bad shots, shooting threes. He's not a three-point shooter. He may have his games where he knock them down, but he's not a consistent three-point shooter. And the plan was for this guy to start taking more mid-range shots and going to the hole more often to increase his field goal percentage. But old habits die hard, right? And you look at Miles Turner, and Miles Turner has not quite been the force for the Bucks that he was for the Pacers the last couple of years. He's been effective, but not as effective as he has been the last couple of years with the Pacers. And you got Bobby Portis, who has not been as energetic, not as enthusiastic, not as effective. Some of that might have to do with his minutes being cut. And the Bucks, just as a whole, I haven't seen every Bucks game this year, but when I do watch them, their offense seems to be rather predictable. They shoot themselves in the foot too oftentimes, way too many one-and-done possessions. And it also seems like to me there are certain guys who are just scared of the moment. Guys who miss way too many wide-open shots. Everybody has their games where they're going to miss, but it just seems like you could tell there are certain guys who, I don't know whether they're just noticing they're playing against a marquee team or whatever the case may be. They just, I don't know, man. But for all of that, right, for everything you can criticize Milwaukee for, I think the biggest criticism in this situation goes to Doc Rivers. And I've been very, very supportive of Doc Rivers. I've tried to avoid criticizing him. But you get that sense now that I'm not saying he's on the hot seat. That's not quite that. But if the Bucks don't turn this thing around over the next month, I think his seat's going to start getting a little bit warm. Let me tell you why. Remember, the Bucks organization fired Adrian Griffin, and he had a 30-13 record, best record in the Eastern Conference when he was fired. So Doc Rivers was supposed to be. Remember when Adrian Griffin took over as Milwaukee Bucks coach, they were expected to be in sort of like a transitional type team, right? What I'm trying to say is when Adrian Griffin became the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, it was sort of looked at like the organization was sort of like in semi-rebuilding mode from the championship teams of 2021 and the contending teams of 2022 and 2023, right? So surprisingly, the Bucks went 30-13, right? So they said, okay, well, the media and the Bucks organization said, well, okay, well, we can win with this team now. So let's get a quality coach. So they fire Adrian Griffin, And then after, I think, 2 games with an interim coach, Doc Rivers became the head coach. And since then, Doc Rivers has posted a 73-59 record as the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. That's the equivalency over an 82-game season of going 45-37. It's not atrocious, but considering that you got one of the best players in the NBA, one of the top players in NBA history, as a cornerstone of your franchise in his prime, and you're a franchise with championship aspirations, that ain't good enough. And what's especially galling to me is the fact that Doc couldn't get his guys ready to come out there and compete in this game last night. You're playing against a guy, J.J. Redick, who you know don't like you, who publicly criticized you as being a guy that is an overrated coach. That's what he said, right? So you don't hold accountability. Plus, you're playing against an organization. You're competing against an organization as a head coach that humiliated and embarrassed your assistant coach in Darvin Ham. How these guys were not ready to go out there, and J.J. Redick had the audacity to humiliate you further by starting the worst player in the game, arguably the worst player in NBA history, in Bronny James. And they still beat your ass by 25 points or so. I'm sorry, but I don't know, man. Like, I know Doc has a certain personality. I don't know, man. Like, I just don't see the passion in this guy anymore. Like, I'm trying to be real supportive of Doc Rivers, man, but I'm starting to wonder if the game, I don't know, man. Like, is it, because at some point, look, we can't keep blaming everybody else, right? We said it was the personnel. You got rid of old ass Dame Lillard. The team got younger. Yes, the team doesn't have Kevin Porter Jr. right now, right? That's part of the problem. Yeah, okay. But the team got younger. The personnel is different. The expectation was the Bucks could be one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. And once again, the Bucks are underperforming. At some point in time, you got to start looking at coaching. Yes, Giannis should get a lot of the blame too, but Doc Rivers need to get some of his blame too. And I'm going to tell you something. If this shit continues, you got Darvin Ham right there on the sidelines. You got Darvin Ham right there. And Darvin Ham's a good-ass goddamn coach. I'm just saying. If Doc can't cut it, hey, man, Darvin's right there. But that's just my opinion, fellas. What you guys think?